Okay, I'm gonna try to take a video of this as I do it so you can see. I get about a cup of my starter. I'm not like super particular about it being exact.
From thence the water was received into a liquid, shaped like an antique urn, and again was poured gracefully into the large turtle shell. A small
I'm not used to making like tutorial videos either, so I'm sorry if I don't talk as I'm going. If I forget, I'll try to remember to let you know what I'm doing as I do it. Okay, so I've got my starter in. I'm going to use the same measuring container. Go ahead and pour in my 1 cup of milk. No, it's fine. I'm going to put in my teaspoon of salt. Hannah, would you do me a favor and melt the butter for me?
Sure.
Almost out of salt. There we go. The butter's right here. Give me about, what did I tell you last time?
3?
2, 3? Yeah, about 3 tablespoons of butter. Crack in 1 egg.
Sometimes they brought kangaroo, sometimes an agouti, flesh of which resembles that of a
And
sometimes they brought wild
about 3 cups of flour. What I'm hoping by doing the feeding first this time is that my bread will rise faster than it does when it's not fed. But we'll see. It's sort of a test today. So while she's melting my butter, which is the last thing I need in here, I'm going to go ahead and start mixing it. And of course, I always do this when I'm wearing black. I'll have flour all over me in a minute. I usually just scrape down my sides and make sure everything's getting incorporated. I possibly could have lowered my amount of flour because of the feeding, but I chose not to because when I add in eggs and butter on top of the 1 cup of liquid, which in this case is milk instead of water, I find that I usually have to add a little more flour anyway because it adds more wetness. So I decided to just go ahead and leave it 3 cups of flour, even though I just fed the starter. It's already coming together nicely. Looks a little bit dry, which I think will be resolved when she gets me my butter. And you can see what I mean by that. It looks dry. Pretty much all the liquid's been incorporated, and there's still a little flour at the bottom that's not blended into the dough yet. I have washed my hands. So I'm just going to drizzle the butter in. The egg's already incorporated, so I don't need to worry about scrambling it. And it's not too terribly hot anyway, the butter. Thank you, ma'am. And then we'll let that finish incorporating. And I'll just kind of eyeball it. I'm pretty familiar with what my dough should look like. So if I feel like I needed to add more liquid or more flour, either way, I would do that. I'm just going to let it go for a minute though and see what happens. It's actually looking pretty good. I've got everything pulled away from the sides. See if I can show you what it looks like in there. So nothing is sticking to the bowl. So now I'm just I'm gonna check it real quick by touching it because I know what it's supposed to. Also, I like to stop it and check it anyway because if it goops down off of the hook, I know it's too wet. If it sticks to the hook a lot of times and it slowly wants to drop off, that's pretty good. And if I touch it and like it's slightly sticky, but it's not like getting stuck to my fingers as I'm touching it, I can still let go without coming off too messy, then I know that I'm pretty good. So at this point, I'm gonna let it knead for about 10 minutes. 11, 15. So just sort of watch it and I let it go. And I'll come back and show you what it looks like when I get it ready to rise. Okay, I decided to go ahead and turn the video back on because I wanted to show you that I periodically like to stop it and kind of check it, especially because in using the KitchenAid it tends to climb up the dough hook. So I'll pull it off the dough hook and then let it go again. And I also realized that when I said, you know, sticky, that can be a subjective term. Sticky to one person might not be sticky to another person. When I say it can still be sticky, like it's okay if it kind of sticks to your finger a little, as long as when you pull it away, it doesn't leave any or much dough on your finger. If it's like completely sticking and you can't get it off of you, that's too sticky. Probably what I would call goopy. So anyway, terminology. I also wanted to show you that what it looks like. You can't see it though, that's why that's not good. Sorry, Jordan's trying to help me, which I appreciate, but it's just not working out. I kind of wanted to show you what it looks like after I fed it. When I put it back into my jar, I use my canning funnel so that I don't make a big mess everywhere. I know I showed you the video of me kind of pulling it up with the spatula, but this is going to give you a better idea as it runs into the bowl what it looks like. It's pretty thick. I say thick, like kind of like pancake batter. I don't know if you may not make your pancake batter this thick. I tend to, but I also use my sourdough to make my pancake batter, so maybe that'll have something to do with it. But anyway, it's fairly thick. It's climbing up. Okay, I'll get it in just a second. We're at about 7 minutes of kneading right now. You can turn it off and I'll scrape it off. You can scrape it off if your hands are clean. If your hands are not clean, then please do not. So that's what it looks like after feeding and going back in the jar. And then I don't really need to with this stuff because it just rises beautifully, but I've been in the habit of putting a rubber band at the level that my starter is at. Shake it even as I can, so that then I can see when it rises how far up it goes. Make sure that I'm getting good rise. Like I said, I'm not having a problem with this dough. It rises great, so it's not really necessary, but I still do it anyway out of habit. I didn't screw that on. I'm just sort of pushing it on. I just lightly leave it, and then I'll go put that in my pantry. Did you wash your hands?
Yep.
Okay. She's pushing the dough down for me off of the dough hook. And then she'll get that back going and we'll let it go for another couple of minutes. And then I'll show you kind of how I test it.
I did it on...
Just, yeah, 1 or 2 is fine. And this is my bowl that it will rise in, which I have lightly oiled. And then I just use an old napkin, one that I left laying on the stove and now has a nice burn mark right there. I use an old cloth napkin is what I cover mine with, so it'll look like that when we're done. Yeah, I'm going to say we're close enough. I got like maybe a minute left or less than a minute, and I think it looks...
Just put it back down.
Yeah, I think it looks really good. A good way to test, if you're not comfortable with just looking at it, is you can take a piece off. That's actually probably a really big piece. You can take a piece... See how it kind of stuck to my finger a little, but not bad, and I could put it right back. I'll take a piece, and I'll sort of start to stretch it and pull it. And when I can start to see light through it without it breaking, I call that good. That's pretty good right there. So then I just take it out of the bowl, and it's not too loose. It's a nice ball of dough, and I just sort of keep working it until I think it looks good and hide all those seams. And I have this nice ball here. And then I will put it into my bowl and turn it so that all sides are coated. And that's pretty much it. I will cover it with my little napkin. And if I want it to rise really fast, sometimes I turn the oven light on, but a lot of times, go ahead and open that for me, I'll just stick it in there and close it up just so that it doesn't have any drafts and it stays in a nice warm place, and I'll let it rise until it's double. With this particular batch of sourdough, it has risen in as little as 2 hours, but I've had days where it's taken 8 hours. I don't know what the factors that it depends on, but it's not always consistent. I'm hoping today that by feeding it first, it's going to rise quickly, because I'm going to the park with the girls for the group in Temple. I'm also going to Walker Honey Farm. I'm going to be gone most of the day. So when I get home, I'm going to throw a quick spaghetti and meatballs together for dinner. And I'm hoping that that bread will have risen enough for me to make breadsticks out of. And I will show you that later when I get back.